everyone, we're back. So here we are, we three queens. I'm a Chiang.
And I'm Micheline.
Let's talk about loss in the context of relationships. Or it could be you've
Loser.
lost
No, I'm kidding.
We're gonna have to delete
Who
that
lost?
little.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but no, like when you lose a job, you could lose business, you could lose a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a partner. Like, how do you deal with loss? How do you deal with loss?
Yeah.
And maybe you could even lose yourself. What are those situations where you
wow.
actually lose yourself
Yeah.
and have to find yourself again? Yeah. So we thought this was kind of an interesting topic because
Gosh.
we've all been through losing a relationship, losing an opportunity at a job or a new business, losing a friend, losing a boyfriend, you know,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
You know what? I think this is such a layered topic. I'm thinking first about a friend, right? I'm trying to think. Losing a friend. And the fact that in life we may have touched on this once before,
Yes.
but we don't take stock. And we don't take time to reflect on this thing that once was. I don't know if it was a BFF or just a really good person in your life. And they're not there in the next season. And I really think it might sound a bit trite, but the whole someone for, is it a season?
Yeah.
A
reason,
a season or a lifetime.
Yes.
And I think that's, yes, commonly used now, but it's still such a solid framework for taking stock. You know, why was the person there? Right? Is this person just somebody for like hanging out in your 20s? And then when you start to speak about the serious stuff in your 30s, person isn't interested because they're still stuck in the 20s.
Yeah. You know what
Right?
that triggers
What?
as a thought?
Tell me.
We evolve.
We do evolve.
As individuals, as
change.
people, the person you were 5 or 10 years ago, even 3 years ago probably, is not the person you are today. We evolve. And so even in the context of whatever relationship,
Right.
whether it's a friendship or whether it's a relationship, boy-girl relationship, or let's say partner-partner relationship, or even company, individual relationship,
That's right.
we grow, we evolve. And so usually if the individual isn't if you're not growing together in whatever that looks like, or growing, period,
Right.
I think there comes a time when there's a disconnect.
You know what? Absolutely. It's bringing me back to kind of reflect on how much people give in relationships. You know,
Absolutely.
and to remind me of something I said to to one of the lovely people helping us here today. Hey, that a relationship is three people.
Yes.
You know, that it's sort
Yes.
of you, the person, and then the couple.
Absolutely.
And I just see that we lose so much of the we. And
The
when I say
individual.
we, stereotypically women, but this could be, a non-hetero relationship. It just depends.
Yes.
But somebody's giving up too much for the couple, and at some point that has to come to bite you somewhere.
Absolutely.
No?
But here's a thought. First of all, I love that. I love that it is about being there's three entities in the relationship.
I believe
And I think that's
so.
something to remember because you are a person. When you give up so much of yourself, how can you be happy? And does that person really love you if they're fine for you to give up so much of what brings you joy? Do you know what I mean? If they really loved
Exactly.
you, I
It's
feel like they
such
should
a-
embrace all the parts of you. Because they have things they love to do, whether it's playing football or hanging out with the boys or taking walks or going somewhere and off for a couple of hours
Yeah.
and just their me time reading or whatever it is. Everyone has the thing that that gives them joy at an individual level.
Yeah.
And then of course you've got the couple, the couple, where you
It's
you
like
do
a
things
third
together.
entity, and yeah, it's
Absolutely.
like that's where you pour in, right? These things.
Yes.
The glue that
Yeah.
ties you, and that's
Yeah.
not necessarily all the contents of who you are. Like there's such separate
Absolutely.
things.
Yes.
This is so powerful for me. It just made me think of this idea that again, it's an idea of taking stock. Like, wait a minute, I'm in this relationship, things are going well. It can be even a friendship, a platonic
Yes,
friendship.
yes.
You're doing so much, but for your bestie, you're doing the kinds of things he or
Yeah.
she likes and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
It can even be in a sibling relationship,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you lose yourself. And this can happen in short spurts, right? It
Yeah.
can happen like this week I lost myself or this month, you know. But if we don't give ourselves that time to take stock, then we're just going through life just, you know, helter skelter like this, you
Yeah.
know. And so my
Yeah.
real lesson,
Unfulfilled, actually.
yeah, is
Yeah.
to continue to take that stock and say, am I still intact?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Or have I lost myself?
Absolutely, I
You
love
know?
that. So that's one really important takeaway. So let's just on the same subject. Let's think about loss in the context of maybe opportunities.
Oh,
So many
interesting,
of our
yeah.
viewers
Yeah.
are, either you're professionals or early entry level kind of professionals, or you're running your business and you lose an opportunity. You do a pitch and you lose it, or you're in a job and you lose it, or you've applied for this amazing job that's going to completely change your life and you're going to,
Exactly.
move on up in the
Yes.
world, and then you don't get that opportunity, and dealing with the loss of that
Exactly.
and some techniques around how you navigate that. I'll give you an
Interesting.
example.
Yeah. Let's
Many,
think.
many years ago, I had this, I worked in an organization, and the organization was going through some changes, and so there were new opportunities that came up within the organization.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate because there were several of them that honestly in my mind I was like, I can do that, I can do that, I can do them with my eyes closed.
I love it.
But I decided on one specific opportunity because it was going to give me a chance for a more international career outside of the continent. And I remember doing the interview knowing that I'd aced it. And then my boss at the time wanted me to stay in a certain role. And I think I've talked about this in a previous vid. He wanted me to stay in a certain role, which he felt strategically he didn't want me to move out of. And so they changed the location for the job I had applied for because I wanted to go out of the continent. And so they suddenly changed the location of it and made it a virtual role. You do it from wherever you're currently based.
Okay. Oh no.
That's
not what you wanted.
Devastated. And so if you think about an opportunity like that where, you were touching this thing,
Yeah.
and suddenly somebody took
In
it
fact,
from
you were
under
in there. You bought your outfit for day one.
Honey, I was ready. I was so ready.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I remember I cried and
Aw.
cried. I was heartbroken, literally.
Yeah.
Because for me, it meant so many things, new career in different country. I wanted to further my studies, do my doctorate at the time, blah, 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 I remember I cried for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And one of my colleagues, I'll never forget, she's from, where is she from? Francophone Africa, I forget which country she's from now. She called me and she's the one who taught me the Serenity Prayer.
C'est quoi ça? What's that?
Okay, I'll come back to the Serenity
Okay,
Prayer. So
okay.
because it's a bit long, we'll end with it. But it's really about accepting the things you cannot change.
Oh yes, I think I know it.
Yeah.
Lord help me. There's one of
Yeah,
those.
accept the
Okay,
things I
okay.
cannot change,
We'll try and remember at the end.
And to something like embrace the things I can or whatever.
Yes.
But for me those were the things. It was like she walked me through the Serenity Prayer to understanding that this is something I cannot change. And so I do either accept it or I make a move that works better for me.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
after moping
I love
around for
that.
a couple of days,
Yeah.
literally I was like, okay, I need to accept this thing. It
Yeah.
is what it is. I cannot change it. I'm not ready to leave this organization because it's a really amazing organization. I want to stay on and continue building my career here. And you get up and you dust yourself. Honestly, when I made that decision, the mind is a very powerful thing.
Mind can
When you
be
tell yourself,
powerful.
you know what, snap out of it, get up, you gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
It's amazing how there's such a huge shift. Honestly, and I continued. And I was able to build a really amazing career in that organization. But I could have
like
thrown it
that.
all
So
away because of the
powerful.
momentary, emotional distress and, just disappointment.
Exactly.
I could have thrown away what became an amazing career.
Exactly. I think, work-wise, it's so great to be able to show, that we haven't always gotten the jobs that we, wanted.
Yeah.
We haven't, some people have come to me and said, oh, how did you get to be, at XYZ level, asking about all of us and really not understanding. First of all, we always joke that we've been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
And, but the other thing is that, yeah, maybe with each job, I've had a handful of rejections. I remember one in particular where it was like what I'd consider a moderate kind of like, I've got this in the bag, easy job description. Kinds where they ask you for 10 things and you have 15.
Yes.
You're ticking things and more.
Yeah.
Had this thing in the bag. Or so I thought. Oh my God. Go for the interview. And I prepared, but I wasn't so stressed and everything. And they simply just didn't give me the job. And I just, I was like, what? And then about, I don't know, less than a year later, I go on to get this other job. And guess what?
What?
These medium, what I'm calling level, people were literally coming to ask me because there's a way in which they could be almost a subcontractor.
Yes.
So they
After
were
not
now
giving you the job,
going to be my client, asking me to be my client. Yes. Do you know, it took all of me
to be the bigger person.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, I'm gonna shell
I was
there.
like, let's have a meeting, let's discuss. And I really meant it because they were going to be competitive. So I had to hold myself from being petty and being like, yeah, they didn't give me the job. But it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the morals from that is you never know what else is out there. For something like a job, it hurts. So go out there, cry alone, then call your bestie or your tribe. Have that one glass too many if you're a drinker, but listen, don't abuse, whatever you do in times of duress, do that.
Absolutely.
And then do good things. I do the good things, like a long walk, where the trees whisper nice, positive things to me because I love nature.
Yeah.
I love to swim. So do everything to get you kind of out of that emotional moment, clear the mind, and have that knowing that there's something else that's even better for you.
Absolutely. I love what you talked about, the coping mechanism, like with the sports or whatever, or nature or whatever. Sometimes it could just be something that you work on. And that's why it's so important to allow yourself to be broad-based and kind of more well-rounded. You can't just be about your job.
Exactly.
Because that's why when
else.
You lose it,
that's so true.
It's almost like you're left flailing in the wind. You don't know left from right. But when you've got a couple of things you love to do, maybe you love to read, maybe you love to walk, maybe you love to write. I find that we've talked about people being so multilicious,
like very
multifaceted.
The multi-hyphenate,
yes, you can do so many
person.
things, or you love and enjoy doing so many things. It's really important to allow yourself, even if you have a crazy busy job, to still do those other things that you love. It might not be the 3 or 4 things, it might be the 1 or the 2. But allow yourself to do that. You have to be deliberate. And I'll use myself as an example. The work that I do now is wonderful. It's a global job. I work with amazing people making, positive impact in communities. I love it.
Yes.
But I was a person even before this job.
Absolutely.
So what does that mean for holding on to some of the things that gave you joy? Even as you're doing this other thing that gives you joy, how do you make sure you make time very intentionally for a couple of other things that bring you joy, that allow you to feel complete?
I completely relate to that, and I think it's linked to talking about loss, even in terms of a platonic a friendship, or a romantic relationship. You see, what's happening there is you've attached yourself so much to that person and who they are.
Yes.
You've become their identity. You hear this, let's say, I don't know, a 55-year-old woman who's been married for 30 years and has done everything in service of the husband and the kids, and has given up so much that and I actually probably have a dozen actual examples of women like this who now are like, oh my God, the ground just is falling under them when they realize that they've given so much and lost so much of themselves.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of the same logic for a job.
Yes.
You've attached yourself so much to this thing that, first of all, you don't have yet, let's say in that example of looking for a job and not getting it, or when you actually have one and you're like, I am brand X.
Yeah.
My soul, my heart, my everything. Child, you're not. because brand X is somebody else's company or somebody else's whatever, and
Yeah.
you were so many things before that, and that is also the taking stock.
Absolutely.
Which is the 9 to 5 is that company X, brand X.
Yeah.
But what else can I do?
Yeah.
I write, I code, I'm learning this, I'm doing that, you
Yeah,
know, and all
absolutely.
those are parts of your being and your identity.
Yeah.
So when you lose, say, the job, the friend, the boyfriend, you can still, you know, you've cried, you've called the friend, I've
Yeah.
swam, I've talked to the trees and everything, but inside I'm intact and I can still find, in a way, my center, my North Star that says, no, dust yourself off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You've
and
lost.
throw yourself into something,
Yes.
this other thing.
Yes.
Keep busy with this, because the sadness, the woyeness,
Yes.
which is a term in Kenya we use for kind of the
Aw,
mopingness.
woe is, yes,
Yeah, woe is me, kinda.
Yes.
It comes also because you have time, and your hours feel empty.
Yeah.
And so that's why those things are so important, because then you fill your time.
Yeah.
You're doing other stuff, and it gives you joy, you know.
It does.
Yeah.
And let's not underestimate, Acheng, the fact that it can take a while,
It
especially
can.
in the context of either, say, a job that has been so meaningful, that has been a very, very strong part of your brand.
Yes.
It can take a time to actually reinvent, feel enough of that positive energy that's going to kind of spur you onto the next job. Or in the context of losing a friend or losing a partner, that it's grieving. Like you
do
literally
grieve.
go through that. And some
Yeah.
people can do it in a month.
Yeah.
Others can, you know, it can take you 3 to 5 years. And I
Yeah.
still go back to the not addressing it, not taking stock, not thinking about the emotional, you know, emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
Basically kind of thwart that ability to overcome that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You've
yeah.
got to grieve. You've got to go through those
Yeah.
stages of
Yes.
feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know that it sounded maybe for a minute there that we were like, oh, dust yourself off, but it can take a while. I
It
suppose
can
is
take
what
a
I'm
while,
saying.
and different, different lengths of time for different people, and based on different situations.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I like this conversation because, okay, as we wrap, I really am thinking the loss is a process you go through.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
tools that one uses are, you know, courage, self-belief, self-worth even.
Yeah. Conviction.
Right? Conviction.
Because you're
And
ready
that's
to,
not
to,
easy.
to deal with the consequences.
It's always wonderful to have these conversations
I
together.
know, right?
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. And please don't forget to subscribe. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.